Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to today's celebration of the life and legacy of a cherished colleague, dear friend, beloved family member, Teresa Miller. For those who may not know me, I am Aviva Abramowski, and it is my honor and privilege to be the Dean of the University of Buffalo School of Law. That's where I've gotten to get to know Terry, both personally and professionally, and feel her loss deeply. Seeing the photos of Terry as we came in today, these vibrant, beautiful images, it is difficult to accept that she is gone, but I know that she is here with us in spirit today, delighted by this gathering of so many who admired, respected, and loved her. Thank you for being here today with us, and thank you for being here today with each other. Before we begin sharing our tributes, I'd like to invite Pastor Eric Napoli to the podium to offer an invocation.
Greetings, and thank you for the privilege of being able to be here with you today in memory and celebration of Teresa Miller. I thought it would be appropriate for us to look at a piece of scripture from the Bible that has to do with law. I think a lot of us around here love the law, love justice, and I know that that is what Teresa stood for over and over again. I suspect we'll hear much of that today, of her standing up for humanity and justice. And this is what Psalm 119 says. You are righteous, Lord, and your judgments are just. The decrees you issue are righteous and altogether trustworthy. My anger overwhelms me because my foes forget your words. Your word is completely pure, and your servant loves it. I am insignificant and despised, but I do not forget your precepts. Your righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and your instruction is true. Trouble and distress have overtaken me, but your commands are my delight. Your decrees are righteous forever. Give me understanding, and I will live. So I ask that we would have a mindset to meditate upon this and to really ask for understanding and for truth to ring out and have its day today as we celebrate this life. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Napoli. When I first came to this law school in 2012, I met Terry. In fact, I met her before I ever came really as a part of the law school. I met her when I was interviewing to be here. And her presence is one of the reasons I chose to come here. I met this incredible, strong, charismatic woman who had dedicated her life to justice. I'd already known about her work in Attica with women's prisoners, but I was meeting with her personally, and I felt, you know, she had just been appointed to being the Vice Provost of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. And I spoke with her and I said, now this is an institution whose values I can believe in with leadership like this. I knew that I could also dedicate myself to this university, this system, and this state because of her compassion, because of her leadership as someone to follow. And when Terry did anything, she did it well, not just recruiting, not just bringing in people, making them feel comfortable, but when she committed, whether personally or professionally, she fully committed. And not just to the task, but to the goal. Terry's commitment was always, first and foremost, to the people involved. She recognized the value of dialogue, engaging people in conversation to truly understand an issue and work collectively to achieve the most impactful results. As a law professor, she brought her students to Attica Prison to speak directly with inmates, humanizing prisoners' rights issues. Outside the classroom, she led numerous committees at the law school, bringing together faculty and staff to discuss how best to advance our school. She was an early leader in technology initiatives. She didn't hesitate to lead committees outside her areas, and she knew it was important to the future of our students. She was always looking forward. She was a true champion of issues of diversity and equity. She tackled even the most sensitive of topics head-on by bringing together people faculty, staff, and students with different points of view to discuss their concerns and offer their perspectives. She made everyone feel heard. She made us all feel safe. She knew that listening is crucial to understanding and that progress is dependent on this discussion. Leo Tolstoy wrote, "The sole meaning of life is to serve humanity." If that is true, then Terry served it well. With an open mind and an open heart and an unyielding commitment to justice. I'd like to express my deepest condolences to all of Terry's family and friends who are here with us today, and I assure each of you that we will keep the conversation going in Terry's honor and keep her memory alive with us. Thank you so much. Before we continue with our tributes, we'd like to play a short video produced and provided by Terry's partner, Paula DePerna. It's an excerpt from a collection of academic talks and thoughts that Paula has assembled, and it shows Terry in her role as officer in charge of Old Westbury. While that role was temporary and incremental of her many other responsibilities, Terry, of course, embraced it with great enthusiasm and pride. Here she is, introducing herself to the Old Westbury community.
Many of you are probably wondering, what is an officer in charge and what does she do? Well, the role has many facets, but the key ones are these. To serve as a bridge in leadership while the decision about the college's next president is finalized, and to make sure that the transition to that new leader is as smooth as possible. To work with all on the campus to ensure the health and safety of all in our community as we traverse the COVID-19 pandemic together. And to guide the campus as it continues to meet important milestones such as Middle States reaccreditation, enrollment planning, and more. Looking forward, here are a few things you might like to know about me. I'm a faculty member, a full professor of law at the University at Buffalo. I taught my first class in a law school in Miami at the tender age of 24. My areas of expertise are criminal procedure, prisoners' rights, and immigration law. I'm a fierce advocate for social justice and racial equity. I'm a SUNY System Administrator, Senior Vice Chancellor for Strategic Initiatives, and the System's Chief Diversity Officer. I'm a mother of 3 children, 2 teenage boys, and a daughter who just graduated from college. I grew up on the campus of an HBCU where I learned to love campus life. And I'm excited to apply all of these experiences to help Old Westbury thrive during this bridge period. While much of the campus will function virtually this fall due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I look forward to participating in an active virtual community, meeting you in online study breaks, speaking to you at convocation, and being an active advocate for the college, its students, faculty, staff, and alumni. See you soon.
I believe with that, we're going to simply say thank you and begin with our tributes.
Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here with you all to reflect on the impactful life and legacy of Terry Miller. I would like to acknowledge and extend my deepest condolences to Terry's loved ones, especially her children, Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, her siblings, Belinda, Janelle, Shulinda, and Jason, and her partner, Paula. Seychelle, Miles, and Croy I'm sure you know this already, but your mother was fiercely proud of each of you. I had a good fortune of meeting you when your mom would bring you as her guest to reception at my home. During those occasions, I could see how precious you were to her and how much joy you gave her. In addition to being a loving mother, the role she prized most in life, Terry was a nationally recognized scholar and leader, a dedicated teacher and mentor, a compassionate friend, and a truly valued colleague. She did so much to enrich our university community and our SUNY system. As our inaugural Vice Provost for Equity and Inclusion, Terry left a powerful legacy at UB. Exceptionally dedicated to service, she embraced our most cherished values at UB and worked relentlessly to promote them. In the process, she contributed immeasurably to UB's culture of mutual respect, equitable treatment, and social justice for our faculty, students, and staff. Terry was absolutely tireless in her endeavors, whether elevating diverse viewpoints and backgrounds or advocating for the marginalized and disenfranchised. She put her keen intellect, her pragmatic approach, and her generous heart into everything she did. And as we at UB continue to advance the ideas of inclusiveness and social justice that Terry held so dearly, we are profoundly grateful to her for creating a solid framework for transformative change. I think anyone who knew Terry would describe her as approachable. As I got to know Terry as a valued member of my cabinet, I saw her discuss sensitive and potentially charged topics with great intellect, but also in a down-to-earth manner that invited others to join in the conversation. And whether she was discussing these subjects with senior leaders or the scores of students she taught, guided, and mentored, her approachability and her enthusiasm for collaboration made her the consummate university citizen. These attributes also made her very well suited to develop UB's Difficult Conversation or DIFCON series. I recall the discussion I had with Terry when we were conceptualizing this series. It was imperative to her that we come together as a university community to explore contentious topics in a manner that was respectful to and inclusive of diverse viewpoints, background, and experiences. And I had really chance to go to some of these DIFCON series discussions, and Terry was listening and providing very valuable input to our students, staff, and faculty who came to those lectures and those discussions. Terry understood that these conversations, when handled with diplomacy, candor, and sensitivity, have the potential to not only break down barriers, but also lead to greater understanding of our collective humanity. Today, I am proud to note the DIFCON series Terry launched stands as a national model for discussing challenging topics. And as we continue to have these important and timely conversations, whether at UB, across SUNY system, or beyond, we do so with profound appreciation for Terry's thoughtful, compassionate, and enduring contributions to our shared narrative. Again, to Terry's family, friends, and all who were privileged to know her, please accept my deepest sympathy and heartfelt condolences.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lee Melvin. I'm the Vice Provost for Enrollment Management for the University at Buffalo. Thank you to President Tripathi, Dean Abramowski, and for organizing this celebration of life for our wonderful friend and colleague, Terry Miller. Thank you to Terry's children, Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, for sharing your mother's time with us. Thank you to Paula for providing love, support, comfort, and inspiring companionship to our dear friend Terry. And thank you to Terry brothers and sisters for making sure that she grew up to be an important person in this world. Remember me. Remember me. I, along with my loving husband Tillman, became friends with Terry 8 years ago. Terry was our first and best friend in Buffalo. Terry and her beautiful children attended our wedding. They even helped pack the welcome packages along with my mother for our out-of-town guests attending the wedding. Terry was a special friend to us, and we miss her every day. Remember me. Remember me. Terry and I met on the 5th floor of Capon Hall while waiting for the elevator. We looked at each other, and I said, "You must be Terry Miller." "Hello." She looked at me and said, "You must be Lee Melvin." "Hello." We smiled at each other, shook hands, got into the elevator, and when the doors closed, we both started to quietly laugh to ourselves. Knowingly, and this time with displaying much more relaxed body language, Terry asked, "How did you know I was Terry Miller?" I said, "Well, I heard about your hire, and there are only 2 people who look like us on this floor." Now we were laughing out loud. And I said, "Welcome to UB Leadership. We need you." Fortunately, after those introductions, a long, valued, and cherished friendship blossomed over the last 8 years. We truly got to know and love our dearest friend, Terry. Remember me. Remember me. Many of us refer to Terry as the great human connector. Once invited into her village, Terry made sure to introduce, welcome, and connect you to important people in her life. Those connections lasted even after Terry left Buffalo for Albany. Thank you for that gift, Terry. Remember me. Remember me. Terry, Tillman, and I shared many meals together and connected as much as our schedules permitted, even if it was just for 15 minutes for a quick hug and check-in. We hosted international students together for Thanksgiving. Her children and friends will recall the infamous rib-off, cooking competition between us. Of course, I did win. We have so many wonderful experiences and delightful memories from our time with Terry and her family, even the accidental long weekend together in Miami on a beach. True story. While we will forever be sad about the passing of our dear, dear friend Terry, we will also have a tremendous amount of joy in our hearts from the times we got to spend together and create those wonderful memories. Tillman and I'm certain many of her friends, will remain forever grateful to have been invited and welcomed into the village of Terry. We remain awed by her complete dedication and guidance to the growth, health, education, and support of her 3 children. I know this kind of ceremony brings sadness to all attending, both in person and virtually. Terry would want us to celebrate her life, and I'm honored to be one of several today to provide witness of her goodness, inclusiveness, and ability to make you feel that you too are a citizen of the world. Remember Terry Miller. Remember Terry Miller. Yes, We will always remember Terry Miller in our minds, our hearts, and our souls. Thank you.
I'm truly humbled by the opportunity to speak to you today about my dearest friend and colleague, Professor Teresa Terry Miller. Well, she was not just a friend to me, she was family. Although I'm deeply saddened by the loss of my dear friend, I remain grateful for the many gifts that she has shared with me throughout our years of friendship. Gifts that I want to share with you today. Terry embraced life through the lens of a creative, caring, and compassionate, incredibly kind and loving soul. Her academic accomplishments and successes, too many to mention here today, are grounded in her fierce belief in securing justice, fairness, equality, and truth for all those impacted by her work. This is especially true in her many years of work to protect the rights of inmates, including the right to better their lives through rehabilitation and the opportunity of education. You know, she did this by seeking permission to run educational classes in nearby correctional facilities, and she documented their road to rehabilitation from behind correctional walls. Her work promoted trust, tolerance, and the value of forgiveness. She later turned her attention to the fight for justice and equality on behalf of immigrants. There, she produced groundbreaking scholarship on the unfairness that existed within the intersection of criminal and immigration laws, an area in which I was so proud and fortunate to be able to offer my support. Her tenacity for equal treatment and opportunity for all continued in her pursuit of ensuring diversion and inclusion even from within the academic system. But what I hold most dear in my heart about my beloved friend Terry is the way her soulful spirit embraced all those lives she touched in her academic and her personal life. With such fondness, I recall the many times dropping by Terry's office at SUNY Buffalo Law School, only to encounter a room brimming with students eager and excited to speak with her about their many ideas and dreams. Terry always made time for everyone. Students, colleagues, and friends alike would leave her company inspired by Terry's encouragement and filled with the love and confidence that she instilled in each of us. She emboldened all of us to find our voice, to seek our passion, and to boldly follow our dreams no matter where they took us. When Terry expressed that she hoped and wanted the best for you, which she often expressed and she expressed to many, you always knew that it was meant in sincerity and that it came from a place of caring, compassion, from a place of love. But to know Terry also meant that you had the great fortune of being accepted into her home and as part of her loving family. I was often able to witness or to be the direct recipient of Terry's overwhelming generosity. She was always quick to open her heart and her home to help and support others without limitation. Her home was a regular, warm gathering place for all of us. Students, friends, colleagues, strangers. She always made space in her home and her heart for others. But what I will hold most dear in my heart and in my memories is witnessing the gift of overwhelming love that Terry has for her family, a gift that she freely shared with each of us. Her love for them was as bright light for all of us. To Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, and to all those who loved and adored Terry as much as I did, know that her bright light will always guide you. She will always be right next to you, always there to comfort and guide you in your times of need and to share in your moments of joy and happiness. Her love will always be that strong, and her light will always be that bright and powerful and everlasting. So on this day, and hopefully many days to come, and in honor of my dearest friend Terry, I hope to continue to practice and to appreciate the abundance of gifts that my dear friend has shared with me throughout our many years of friendship that I have passed along to you today. Gifts such as always seeking to do what was right and just without compromise, of remaining dedicated to lifting the lives of those in need, of sharing and staying true and committed to seeking fairness and equality for all, of pursuing one's dreams and hopes fearlessly, and most importantly, of living life zealously with an open heart that is boundless in its ability to love, just as Terry did. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to pay tribute to Dr. Teresa Miller, a tremendous mother, sister, partner, colleague, and friend. I first met Dr. Miller at the home of University of Buffalo President Satish and Mrs. Kamlesh Tripathi during my first visit to UB about 4 years ago, when Teresa was Vice Provost for Equity and Inclusion and I was SUNY Chancellor. Teresa had a presence. We talked over dinner, and she said to me, "If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know." And I said, "Thanks, I think there is." And the next day I called Satish and I asked if he wouldn't mind if I hired Teresa to be my chief of staff. He wasn't real happy with me about losing Teresa, but he's such a great leader and he wanted to support Dr. Miller and her career, so he said, of course. One day shortly after Teresa started, she showed up wearing the Hand of the King. We were all crazy about Game of Thrones. It was obvious that Teresa was destined for a larger role, and she was promoted to Senior Vice Chancellor for Strategic Initiatives and Chief Diversity Officer of the entire SUNY system. She was really extraordinary in that role. One of her many accomplishments as Senior Vice Chancellor involved diversifying our professoriate through Prodigy, providing recruitment opportunities for diversity and inclusive faculty growth. Prodigy aims to recruit 1,000 underrepresented minorities and women in STEM over 10 years, so that the demographics of our faculty matches the diversity of our students. To succeed, Dr. Miller understood that it required more than just financial resources. It required changing the culture from one of hiring to one of recruiting. Teresa recognized the need to educate search committees about implicit bias and centralize faculty diversity goals, timelines, and deliverables. Already in year 2, Prodigy is on track to reach its goal by the end of this decade. I thank you, Teresa. Your legacy will have an enormous influence on New Yorkers for decades to come. Let me conclude by addressing Dr. Miller's colleagues at SUNY, her children, and her partner. To Dr. Miller's colleagues and associates, we're going to miss her infectious smile, her wry sense of humor, and her ability to listen intently. You knew she was hearing every word, because Teresa would acknowledge you with, "Right?" or "You think?" We are so blessed to work with such a kind, giving, and dedicated professional. I'll always remember our dinners together after board meetings. And Meg, you were such great support to Teresa. Thank you. To Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, I know what it's like to lose a parent in college. I hope knowing how incredibly proud she was of each of you is of comfort to you at this difficult time. And after the pain recedes, that too will bring you peace. Seychelle, you are following in her footsteps as an educator. Miles and Croy, whatever your path, take a couple courses in law and learn what she loved about her profession. And lastly to Paula, I can't imagine your grief, but Teresa loved you. Thank you for being there for Terry, for all of us these past few years. Godspeed, my friend.
Many thanks to Christina Johnson for that beautiful remembrance. As we celebrate Terry's life, it is moving to hear how much she meant to her colleagues, to our scholarly community, and to our university system. In tribute to Terry's legacy, this past summer, UB established the Professor Teresa A. Miller Memorial Scholarship Fund in our School of Law. This fund will provide full tuition to deserving law students who seek to champion social justice and civil rights, much like Terry did throughout her life. I'm pleased to share that our goal to endow this fund has been furthered with an $88,000 gift from SUNY Impact Foundation on behalf of Christina Johnson and her wife, Victoria Meinhardt. At the same time, the SUNY Impact Foundation has made additional commitment to UB that honors Terry's legacy. I'm pleased to announce that the second commitment, a gift of $750,000 on behalf of Dr. Johnson and Ms. Meinhardt, establishes the Dr. Teresa A. Miller Professorship in UB. With this endowed professorship, which is part of UB's Scholar of Excellence program, Terry's name and legacy will forever be associated with UB and our School of Law. This professorship underscores the indelible mark that Terry made on issues of equity and her dedication to teaching and mentoring the next generation of legal professionals. It serves as testament to Terry's impactful career at UB and SUNY and her lifelong commitment to social justice, and we are grateful for the opportunity to honor her memory in this way.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today to celebrate the life and legacy of Professor Teresa Miller. I would like to start by offering my sincere condolences to Terry's friends and family, and in particular to her children, Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, and her partner, Paula. Terry offered so much to life. She was deeply committed to an incredibly effective champion of issues of social justice, equity, and inclusion. She was dedicated to her family, her students, our university, and the power of higher education. In 2014, Terry was named UB's first Vice Provost for Inclusive Excellence, leading the university's efforts to build a culture of equity, diversity, and inclusiveness. I had the distinct pleasure of working with Terry in that role over a 4-year period, where she demonstrated time and time again her dedication and exceptional service as Vice Provost to our students, the university. She clearly had a profound and lasting impact on our university. She led the creation of UB's Strategic Diversity and Inclusion Plan, which integrates inclusive excellence into all aspects of university operations and continues to this day to guide UB's equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts. She championed the inclusion of diversity learning requirement in the UB curriculum, ensuring that all UB undergraduates develop cultural literacy and better understand the construction of difference. And how fitting it is to think, as we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, of how tireless Terry was and how critical she was to starting the tradition of having UB faculty and staff host international students for Thanksgiving dinner. Terry was so generous in her willingness to work with colleagues and students across the university to ensure that building a diverse, welcoming, and inclusive campus community was at the forefront of our thinking. On a personal level, it was truly a privilege and a pleasure to work with Terry. She had a great sense of humor, as you've heard over and over again today, and vast intellectual curiosity. She was remarkably kind, optimistic, and welcoming, who always ensured that all voices were heard and respected. Before I close, I'd like to share thoughts from former UB Provost Chip Zukoski, who appointed Terry Vice Provost in 2014. I'll never do Chip justice, but first, Chip sends his deepest condolences to Terry's family and friends and the broader university community. He fondly remembers Terry, and I'm going to quote, ambitious, not necessarily for herself, but for UB, SUNY, and society. She moved forward with a belief that she was placed on earth to make a difference. Again and again, she did. Terry cared about her family, her community, and the goodness of humanity. Indeed, Terry inspired all of us at UB to be better and to do better. We are stronger because of that, and all that Terry contributed to our university, and she will be deeply missed. Thank you very much.
Hi there. I'm Rebecca French, and I was a close friend of Terry's. Lisa Mueller asked me to talk, and I said, well, I just don't think I can. But I agreed to a minute or two, so I won't be here very long. I'd like to introduce sort of the entire law faculty and say that we miss Terry in a way that you can't even imagine. I know that all the faculty is mourning right now and feels as if they have sort of a hole in their heart, truly. It's so hard for me every day to even think about her being gone. The one thing I wanted to say that no one's brought up, which for me was really a key to Terry, is a kind of quintessential honesty. You know, she was really honest, and she said what she thought, and to some extent got away with it, right? I mean, she would say, well, you know, I don't think so, you know, or yeah, right, or, you know. But I wanted to tell you just one instance which really captures that for me. And I don't know if Jim Gardner is here or not. But I came about 20 years ago to UB, to the law school from the University of Colorado. And, you know, I came in and I was all excited and all kinds of things happened that year. But after about 2 months, Terry came into my office and she said, hi, you know, I'm Terry Miller. And I said, hi, you know, I'm Rebecca French. And she sat down and she said, well, let's just get this out of the way. I didn't vote for you. And I said, okay, I think that makes sense. And she said, well, I mean, we had 4 slots, which collapsed into 2 slots because you and Jim Gardner got hired. We could have had 4 people. And we ended up with just 2, and they were both laterals, so they cost more money. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, right? And then she said, but I am so glad you're here. You are just incredibly cool. We really scored, so hello. I'm Terry Miller. Thank you so much.
Hope I can read this. Hello. Thank you to those who so graciously organized this celebration, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I am delighted to see some of Terry's family here. This is wonderful. You have my sincere condolences. And I'm particularly glad to see Seychelle. And I want to say to her, to Miles, to Croy, that Terry loved you all passionately and joyously. And though she is not here anymore, she left you guardians in many places, in many divergent communities, and even in hostile places. Guardians grounded in relationships she built with understanding and compassion. I have known Terry, or had known Terry, since we were students. I believe I first met her in 1985, 1986. In any event, in 1986, Macau and I became engaged to be married. The director of admissions at Harvard hosted us a pre-wedding celebration. Terry at the time, I think, was the editor for the yearbook that year. And so she took all the pictures that I have of that day. It was Terry who welcomed Macau and I to Buffalo some 10 years later in 1996. I have pictures of those days too. But I am reminded of another set of pictures, one of which is a picture of Seychelle. She's about a year old, and she's held in my mother's arms, and she is surrounded by my 3 sons. They're about 4, 6, and 7 at the time. That would be the beginning of many such visits with my slightly older 3 kids and Terry's younger 3 children. As you've heard, Terry was quick to smile and generous to a fault in offering her time and her resources. And Terry walked with a gait, if you remember, and that would almost sometimes turn into a skip that was so full of energy and that really embodied all of these, I think, and captured all of the endless creative ideas that she had. But as delightful as her personality was, and as generous as she was, I think all of these belied the fierce will and determination that Terry had to be uniquely herself and to build bridges in hostile places and build bridges in warm places. That is, Terry took the road less traveled. She always struggled to be both uniquely herself in that particular moment and to simultaneously engage, connect, and fit with others, some of what you've already heard. The tension within that quest was not easy in and of itself, but it was also not easy in a world where being seen as different often means exclusion, judgment, derision, dismissiveness, hostility. And I think that took its toll on Terry. But it also meant that she inhabited many communities fragmented by the way we organize the world. So for instance, Terry used to bring her dog to school. And one of these days she complained. She said, you know, there's a senior colleague we have here at this university. And she says, and he comes up to me routinely, warmly pets my dog and strokes her and barely speaks to me. And then she said, can you imagine? He would rather greet my dog, as beautiful as she is, than greet me. This is just a small glimpse of what she, Terry, and other people of color often face here and beyond. But Terry wasn't just a person of color. She was much more complex than that. And her complexity made her perfectly suited to be the vice provost for equity and inclusion. Though at the time, I wasn't quite sure about that. So when I started thinking about Terry for this moment, and bear with me, please, I thought of something that Angela Harris wrote many years ago. It comes out of one of her most famous pieces called Race, Essentialism, and Feminist Legal Theory. And it was published way back in 1999. But there, Angela argued that there are at least 3 major contributions that she thought Black women had to offer a post-essentialist feminist theory. First, she said, is the recognition that the self is multiplicitous, not unitary. Second was the recognition that difference is always relational, not inherent. And third, the recognition that wholeness, the integrity of character, and finding commonality is an act of will rather than passive discovery. Terry captured that. I went back looking for it when I was thinking of her. Terry was not just multidimensional, by which I mean she was race, class, sexually oriented one way or another, as we all are, but she had multiple selves, multiplicitous selves, shifting, nonlinear, contradictory selves. And she recognized this. And in that recognition, she also recognized not just the oppressor without, but the oppressor within. And so although she was a little frustrated with this senior colleague, she nonetheless built the bridges with him and others at the university, always offering, in the way you've already heard, conversation, understanding, intelligence, laughter, and warmth. Terry was warm. Her multiple selves meant that she was an expert, as you've heard, at listening, giving, receiving, without judgment. It meant she focused on relationships, not essences, welcoming and strategically but subtly shifting through these selves to draw people in, to make them feel comfortable, and to connect and fit with them. And so it's unsurprising that her students loved her, even when she frustrated them by not turning in her grades on time. She hated to grade. But it also meant she built relations with compassion, which you've also heard. She was outraged by injustice. She reacted with empathy and compassion, not pity and sympathy, which require no action, rather with compassion, which Angela notes. Compassion is the desire to relieve another's suffering, the desire to act. It recognizes our responsibility for injustice as oppressor and oppressed both within and without. And so it is with compassion that Terry built relationships with prisoners and their guards, with immigrants and their accusers, with police, much to my chagrin, and of course their victims. Terry's ability to move through her different selves from moment to moment and in different times startled some, angered others, but along the way she built relationships in multiple and with multiple communities, and she enriched them. In this, she has left a lasting legacy to her children. That is, that they have guardians in many strange and wondrous communities and spaces. And so from one of those communities, one that might look like what she grew up in, to you, I say, we've got you. We've got you. And we ask in that tradition, in the words of the gospel song recently sampled by Kanye West, may the Lord wrap you in her arms. And to Terry, I say, girl, peace until we meet again. Thank you.
Good afternoon. In late July of this year, I received an early morning text message around 5:30 a.m. from Terry. It said, quote, "I'm fighting like hell," end quote. Terry's message gave me a quiet comfort in that early morning moment because I knew it was true. Terry was a fighter for justice, for equality, for peace, for her colleagues, for the voiceless, and for her family. It was the last message I've ever received from her. Terry fought to the end, a happy warrior in pursuit of a better and more righteous world. Terry was a human manifestation of the mission of the State University of New York, an incredible intellect, a tireless advocate, a fantastic educator, and most important, a good person. Terry did not back down or shy away from any challenge. She rolled up her sleeves and dug in until she got to the root of an issue that began to plant a seed of resolution. From her toil always grew a common bond of understanding and progress between us. It was her calling to be a gardener, tending to the growth of social and racial justice for SUNY and in our society. One of her last assignments for SUNY was developing our 25-point diversity, equity, and inclusion action plan. It was bold, and it told the honest truth about where we were as a system. That was Terry, always speaking truth to power, especially to the chancellor, always speaking truth to me constantly. I loved it, though. I loved hearing when I was wrong. But also, and most importantly, finding a way for us to do better. And that 25-point plan does just that. That will be a part of her great legacy. James Baldwin, one of my favorite authors, said, "Life is tragic simply because the earth turns and the sun inexorably rises and sets, and one day for each of us, the sun will go down for the last time." Terry's sun has set, but her light continues to shine brightly in each of us. Now that Terry has passed the celestial gates, I know her legacy of justice, righteousness, empathy, and kindness will flow through each of us so that we may continue her important work. We are stewards of her cause to build a more just and beautiful world. It's a responsibility that we mustn't take lightly. To Terry's family, Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, her siblings, including her sister Belinda, who is here, and her partner Paula, the entire SUNY family mourns your loss, but we will celebrate a life well lived. May Terry's memory be a blessing.
Hi. Two things real quick. I just want to clarify about those pictures. So the one, that was New Year's Eve. It was sparkling apple cider, I promise. And also the one from Joanne McCree of the basketball tournament. When she was living in Albany, we drove out to Albany for a basketball tournament. And my mom, who proudly sported her UB swag and shirts and whatnot, and also, as lots of you have remarked, always had her camera with her. Walks in. I think she dropped me off. I went in. She parked the car. She's got her camera and her UB athletic shirt on, and goes up to the front counter to pay the admission. And they're like, "Oh, you're a coach. Go on ahead through." And she was like, "Well, I'm not going to say no to that." So I just that was. I'm glad it brought that memory up. Thank you all for being here. It's been great to see so many folks. Thank you to those who spent the time to organize this event and bring us all together. When I was asked if I wanted to speak, I said, of course, because this is not something that one says no to. But as I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and I was struggling to come up with what I wanted to say, I'm still struggling, I think, to find the right words, right, to express my love and appreciation for my mom and my feelings of grief around her death. And thank you to everyone who's spoken. You've shared such beautiful words and kind words and profound thoughts. And I will not claim that I'm going to do any of that, but I will share that what these past about 3 months have revealed to me are some of the ways that my mom was kind and thoughtful and creative and engaged with the world that I don't think I had the perspective to fully appreciate while she was alive. And that underscored for me a couple of things. The first, and I think this is exemplified in our rituals around grief, is that the depth of love and care that we have for people perhaps can't be felt fully until we can't listen to them speak passionately on a subject of their expertise or feel their comforting presence when life feels difficult, or ask them, what's an appropriate outfit to wear to a memorial service? And I know, that you don't know what you have until it's gone is cliche, but I do think it's cliche for a reason. And the second thing, which is kind of going to contradict the first thing that I said, but I, echoing the sentiment of folks who have already spoken, is that, I've realized very, viscerally, right, that she's never going to be gone. Because we get to carry on her memory in the choices we make to be kind, even when it's difficult, to pursue a more just, beautiful, and frankly more fun world. And the fact that her life and work at UB will be memorialized through a scholarship and named professorship is incredibly humbling, as is seeing you all here today and being able to be in community with you all. Thank you to everyone for being a part of her life, and vis-a-vis her life, my life, and those of my brothers, Miles and Croy, who wanted to be here today but are off at school doing what she launched us out in the world to do. I miss her all the time, as I'm sure a lot of you all do as well. But I'm just no, I'm going off script. That's not a good idea. I'm not as good as this as she is. Like, she could get up and do this without notes, but I have some. But yeah, just that I miss her all the time, and I just feel so lucky to have been loved by her, and to have been able to love her, and to have just been in her orbit of people that and experiences that she brought into my life. So thank you all again for being here. Take care.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Belinda Miller Matengu, and I'm here with my sister, Janelle Miller Jordan, and we are here representing our siblings, Celinda Miller Cabrera, who made the fourth of the four Miller girls, and our younger brother, Jason, and our brother, William Jenkins, who, if you've known Teresa for more than 5 minutes, you've also known. I'm also here very proud to represent our family, the Thomas family, as well as the Miller family, who've known her, and she stands on the shoulders of the accomplishments of our family members. And when we lost our mother, Dr. Henrietta Thomas Dabney, 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, our aunts and uncles, took over what our mother would have done for us, as we're here to do for Seychelle and Miles and Croy. So on behalf of our uncles and our aunt, who's also gone on to join our mother, I just want to say that we are so delighted that the university has made so many opportunities to share so many wonderful tributes of Teresa's life. It's been very comforting, very heartwarming to our family as we've seen the articles that have been published, the resolutions issued by the Board of Trustees, and now this really amazing, wonderful, and endowed chair that was announced by the President and the Chancellor. Thank you very much for all of the wonderful things that you're doing to support Teresa's memory and her legacy. We come from a family of educators, academics, university professors, and military service members, social justice workers, and civil rights warriors. We have all been very proud of the wonderful things that Teresa has been able to accomplish, and besides her greatest joy in life, which were Seychelle, Miles, and Croy, her joy of being able to work at the University of Buffalo and the SUNY system for what is most of her life was really wonderful. And I, as her sister, who's known her since she was born, have had the opportunity to hear so much of what it's meant for her to be recognized for her talents and her leadership, and to be given the opportunity to turn her wonderful talents into so much impact for so many. You are probably aware that Teresa is a risk taker. She has been since an early age, and she's got the broken bones to prove it. And, you know, it's just wonderful that, you know, she found at, you know, University of Buffalo and in the SUNY system the opportunity to take her diverse interests and talents, you know, her love for editorializing and capturing things in photography and videography, her, you know, enthusiasm for athletics and sports, and especially supporting women in sports, like Seychelles basketball team. You know, the opportunity to do so many things to drive so much impact for so many. And I thank you on behalf of our family for the wonderful experiences that she's had here with the wonderful colleagues and the friends that she's made here. That really is a great comfort to our family to know that she had such a rich life. And something that was comforting to me when we lost our mother was the knowledge that she would continue to live on in the hearts of so many people. And because of the wonderful platform that you have provided for Teresa and the wonderful network that you've connected her to so that she could have such a great impact, she will live on for many, many years, on forever actually, with the chair as well, in the hearts of many, many people. So thank you very much.
As usual, Terry Miller leads by example. I can only hope that someday I would be worthy of a gathering like this and to have inspired the depth of feeling. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Many thanks to all of our speakers for their moving tributes to our dear friend, and to the UB String Quartet for the beautiful music they played. We will end with a benediction, but following the Pastor Napoli's benediction, please enjoy a final selection, again played by our quartet, and then afterwards we will invite you to join Terry's family members and friends who are here with us today in the social hall on the second floor of the Student Union for a reception. With that, I ask the pastor to please return. Thank you.
What a blessing. It's been like a wave of just enlightenment and just seeing the gracefulness that this woman has put down before us. I feel as she can share in the words the Apostle Paul, where he says she's been poured out and she has run the race and she has finished strong. And with that, we're grateful for you, for your family. As much as we mourn with you, we are so privileged to have had her. And I speak as a person from the outside looking in and hearing, and I am too very blessed and enlightened by this. I close with this, just from something that perhaps many of you are familiar with. This is Psalm 23. May it bring hope to our hearts. The Lord is my shepherd. There's nothing I lack. He lets me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside still waters. He renews my life, and he leads me along right paths for his name's sake. Even when I go through the darkest valleys, I fear no danger, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a place before me, and a table in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord as long as I live. And I pray that for you, that the grace of the Lord may rest upon you, it may shine upon you, that you may walk from here with great hope and just enjoying the life that God has given to us to live and to pour it into each other's lives, as we've seen Terry do in front of us. Lord bless you.